need to put do not disturb. Hold on. Okay, we should be good. All right, I can't get any notifications, by the way. So, hey everyone, how are you guys? Give us a second here. Ella was just shaking her head in disappointment at my inability to multitask.
I would never.
Hey everyone. Okay. I think I've got Slack over here now if you need to reach me. Okay, there we go. All right, and then one last thing. Music, right, Ella? We need music.
Yes. We need something kind of like fall, you know, a little cozy
Fall?
fall. Yeah. You've got this beautiful like orange background,
Okay,
you
I
know?
wish you could see. Right now it's orange because my office is on the west side, and
Mhm.
there is this is my favorite hour of the day. Is it's like this twilight hour because the light starts just like
Mhm.
pouring into my office, and it's just like it's everywhere. I wish you could see it. Like it's really, this is like my favorite time of the day. And by the time we're done with this stream, it's going to be dark and I'm going to be all gremlin-y and moody. But anyway, hey everyone, good to see you. I need to pull up some music. So Ella, you want to tell them what we're up to while I pull up some music?
Yeah, I will. So today we are a lot of these lives have sort of turned into you guys helping us or watching us do like world building type stuff, and today is no different. So today we are going to be actually drawing a little bit more city stuff because last time we were here, Chris was doing fish bowls and those were really fun to do, and so now he's going to be drawing Andromeda, parts of Andromeda, which is, if you don't know what that is, that's going to be like the that's the main capital of Fortuna. So it's sort of like the the capital of that country. And so it's a really big deal, and it's got all these beautiful Flux Destinies in it, and it's a very big city, and Wolfgang is also there. And so Chris is drawing. We need this for the RPG, but we also just want to like showcase this to you guys because we've never drawn Andromeda before, right, Chris? I mean, I've never seen a drawing of it.
I've never drawn it publicly. It's one of
Yeah,
those things that kind of exists in, and I'm going to show you guys some mood board stuff to give you an idea, and then we'll kind of just draw a little moment from it, a little
yeah,
vignette from it. So just give me one second. I'm almost found some music. I couldn't find any copyright free fall, chill
that's
music.
okay. That's okay.
Let me see. Let me try autumn.
It's all really intense fall music.
Okay,
No chill music.
autumn.
It's all intense.
No copyright. Here we go. Autumn chill guitar. Here we go. How about this? Let's see. I don't know if this is any good, but I don't know. No, not that one. Sorry, sorry. I'm trying to see where it's like no copyright because I don't want to. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't find you specifically that. In fact, next time I'll let Ella should probably do the research. I'm gonna
I'll do the
outsource that you
research.
to Ella, and next time you can
Okay,
pick
okay.
the music because I always
You
wait to the last
struggle.
minute for it. Here, but
Yeah.
here's something. I don't know what this is. Uh, will this work? Let's see.
So yeah, to answer your question, it is pretty much exactly a mix between LA and DC. It's partially Capitol buildings, partially government type buildings, and a lot of it, though it's on the beach. It's got all these beautiful like coastal areas, and so yeah, it's pretty much exactly like you've just described it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give you guys a. By the way, I'm gonna switch over, so I don't know how the music's gonna be. I'm gonna switch scenes now so you guys can see it, and I'm gonna show you where Andromeda is, and then I'm gonna show you some mood boards to give you an idea of what it's like. So first, let's start with the map. So the map is here. There we go. Let me know if the music is too loud. Is that okay?
It's a little loud, but
A little
again,
loud?
I
Hold on.
always think it's a little loud because I'm hearing it like through you.
Is that better? Can you guys still hear it? No? You can hear it or no?
I can hear it. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry,
okay,
I
but
can
it's
hear
not
it.
too loud?
It's not too loud to me.
Okay. All right, let me know if you guys have any problems with it. Okay, so here is Fortuna, the map of Fortuna. Fortuna is roughly 60% of the United States in terms of its size. So if you saw, um, you know, if I were to draw a little, um, if I were to draw some, just to give you some reference points, this would kind of be like California. Oh, this would kind of be like California over here, and then you have, you know, Oregon and Washington State. So this is kind of this region here, and then you've these mountains here are basically like the Rocky Mountains. So this is all the equivalent of like, you know, Colorado. I mean, yeah, Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, all that's over here, and then this part over here, and New Mexico, and then you've got basically like Texas over here. And then you've got all those states here, Montana, et cetera, et cetera. Well, actually, it's kind of squeezed. And then this is like the Great Lakes area here, kind of. And then this area up here would kind of be like normally like up north of New England, so like Maine, things like that. But the climate should be that way, but because of a rupture that's nearby, there's a microclimate here, and this area, which is called the Ad Astra area, is all like tropical. It's like completely like whack. Like the weather is not what it should be. So so pandemonium over, or I saw what Ruben is saying down here. So Texas, it would be like Texas is on the border of pandemonium here, right? So this is kind of there's a several huge like what do you call it, mountain ranges that kind of bisect this area here. So that's to kind of give you an idea of how big Fortuna is. So it's a pretty big country. When we go down to go take a look at where Andromeda is right here. And it is it's the capital of Fortuna, and it's also the home of the whole karmistry industry. It is a huge city. This city, if you were to if you were to look at just on the population size alone, you know, the greater region has at least 10 million people in it. It's a huge area, and so this whole area is called the Andromeda Megalopolis because this like a huge chunk of Fortuna's population, which Fortuna has like 160 something million people. There's a big chunk of people who live just here in this area alone. It's just like this ongoing like populated area, just like Southern California is just this giant megalopolis. That's the same thing here. And then if you look at where Marco and Hugo are from, which is Big Dipper, it's over here. Going back to Texas, the Texas example, you know, oops, I should know how to draw my own state. It's something like this, right? So
yeah,
it just to give you an idea of what it would be. So, you know, Big Dipper would be kind of near where Dallas is, right? So that's kind of the lay of the land. The different parts of Fortuna have major implications on the whole country. That area, I don't have the map that has the different states, but Fortuna has 6 states, and the area that I was showing you where Texas basically is generates a lot of the karma energy for the rest of the country. So there's like these huge pipelines that send, you know, karma all throughout the country from Big Dipper, and a lot of them go up to Kid Alpha and these other areas too, for where there's like big refineries. So there's just so much going on in that. So when I was choosing what would the capital of Fortuna be like, I chose Los Angeles as an obvious answer because escape artists are very showy. They're all about it's like you know, it's all about the show, the illusion, everything, making all these illusions through Flux Destinies and through Karmistry. And so I thought, you know, naturally that would be the best thing for it. So it's here on the coast of the Procyon Ocean. It's similar to LA in that there is it's in this basin of these large mountains that are nearby. And so, but it's just this sprawling city. So I'm going to show you guys some mood boards. And these mood boards are public. I've shared them before. But let me show it to you again. And I'll put the link. Oh, hold on. That's not what you need to see. You need to see that. So if you go, can I put links in the chat? Do links work if I put them in the chat?
Yeah.
Let me do this. Copy link. So this, I'm going to put this in the chat for you guys. Why won't it let me? It won't let me paste in the chat. Okay. Well, Ella, you have access to this. Can you send it to them?
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Anyone who's working in, especially if you're working in your Flux Fantasy characters and you want to know what, let me take you off here 1 second. Oops. There we go. If you want to know what's going on, what the different areas of Fortuna are like, you just go to this Pinterest and there's all these mood boards that I've shared before. So you can kind of get an idea of what they look like. Now, pretty much none of these are official art. So we're doing our own environmental art, but this is just to kind of give you an idea in the meantime. And at the very bottom, you'll see here, this is Andromeda at the very bottom. And so if you go here, you can kind of get a vibe of what it's like. Now, you're going to see some stuff that looks kind of cyberpunk. It's not cyberpunk. You have to pay attention more to the colors and vibes. It's just, I wanted to kind of get the idea, the feeling of how big it was. So you can kind of scan through this and see just how large Andromeda is. It's giant. There's palm trees everywhere. This is probably my favorite one that shows kind of, if you were to figure out where Wolfgang is like very close to the center of the city, and it's actually like a theme park like this in the middle of like a bunch of, you know, right in the middle of an urban center. So it's not like out in the suburbs where there's like lots of parking and stuff.
I can't wait for you guys to see what we have planned for Wolfgang. I really, really cannot wait.
Yeah, it's so really cool. It's very cool. We've been spending a lot of time on it because there's, you know, it's obviously to make it canon. We want to make it right. So we've been through several versions of it, and we're getting close to it. But the general vibe, you know, it's our version of LA, right?
Yeah, I don't think one drawing will do it justice, but we're going to try to do kind of just a piece of it.
Right. So let's go back to the drawings here. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to just do some, I'm going to do some sketching like we did the other day, where we were kind of concepting parts of Andromeda. And when I think of this city, I like to do, I'm going to just do this quick sketch real quick just to show you. I've been drawing inverted colors lately, so it doesn't blind me and you guys. So I think I'm too old now to do that.
I like it.
You like that? Okay.
I'm old too.
Okay. Hey Ray. So if I were to draw, like, I'm gonna draw a little mini map here of Andromeda up in the corner, just to kind of give you guys some orientation. So if I draw that, and then you kind of have this, here's the ocean on this side, and then you have Andromeda here, and then you have these mountains here that kind of, there's like breaks in it, but the mountains surround it like this. And then you have central, these are mountains. this. And then you've got the center of Andromeda is like right here, and then you've got like highways all over the place. I don't remember where they all are, so. And we actually planned these out, okay? So I want you to know that we actually planned where the highways were. You can kind of see there's just like this web. It's such a giant city. There's just like a giant web of highways everywhere. And there's an area called Halamede Hills. Now, Halamede Hills is like, and everything is named after like astronomical objects and bodies and things, but that's like our equivalent to the Hollywood Hills. So Halamede Hills is up here. So all the like the rich escape artists live up here, right? And so and this is the ocean here. I'm gonna put a little boat, and I'm gonna put Ella here on the boat. That's her, trust me. That's her.
I hate the ocean too, so it's perfect.
So I'm gonna draw if I was standing up here on this mountain right here, I'm gonna put my camera like this. So my camera is facing this way. I'm gonna draw a view of what that would look like. Okay. And so first thing I do is, and we've kind of talked about it before, but I think Andromeda, when I think about it's just like the density of it and the skyscrapers and everything that we have. We imagine that they change often too, thanks to Karmistry, because Wolfgang Academy, for example, the design of a lot of like the dorms themselves change design often because they're made of canvas material, and it allows the escape artist students to like, you know, reshape it and come up with new designs. So just give me a second. I'm going to draw downtown in the distance. And Andromeda, like any of these major cities, if you've been to LA before, or if you've been to a city like Sunbelt kind of cities, if you've been to Houston before, which is basically my hometown, Houston. What I love about Houston is that it has these like major pockets of big like skyscrapers. You'll go from like downtown, then you'll look at the whole cityscape, and it's just like these mini downtowns everywhere. You know, Dallas is a little bit like that too, but Houston more so. And I'm sorry if I'm missing, Ella. If there's anything I need to answer, let me know, because
I've been waiting. My cat is like all up in my business.
Your cat?
Across my computer.
Oh.
Yes, my gray cat.
Okay, so and in a minute you're gonna see, when I zoom out, you're gonna see how big of a deal this is, because I'm gonna have to. It's such a giant city, but you know, I've never liked the kind of cities that all they are is just density. I guess it's because I come from an area where I'm used to kind of these zones, you know, where some areas are. Yeah. What's that?
No, yeah, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know. I like the okay, this is like a completely random like analogy. Does anyone remember Darkwing Duck?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. I hate Saint Canard. It's just an island with it looks like this. It's just this. It's an island, and then the buildings all do this. They're all squeezed into. It's like the weirdest thing. I don't like it. I don't like it. I've hated it ever since. So I like to have more more expansive. Now, if I were to actually draw, I'm still working on what Andromeda really looks like. So this is just concept art, but I would have a number of buildings that I would design specifically for it. So they would be not just this silhouette of skyscrapers. You guys know me. I would actually design, and Ella would have to stop me. She'd be like, Chris, that's enough. No one cares. You're the only one who cares about all these buildings in here.
Well, we just have to assume that they change often.
That's true.
Just to keep you from not doing it, because you would map out every single building. Here's the thing, guys. We are so detailed. We would name all 7 billion people in this world if we could. Like, that's how, I'm serious. Like, that's how detailed this world is. And we would name, like, we would assign apartments to everybody. You know what I mean? And we would put them all, this is where they are at every span of their life, if we could. And so there are certain things you just have to be like, this is just, sort of the way that it looks. You're gonna have to use your imagination a little bit.
Okay, so here we are. Now you'll notice, let me take this little map out of the way. Remember, I showed you on the map that this is where this little thing right here is. That's the camera looking this way. So just to get an idea of what we're seeing. So let me get them. Oh, shoot. Okay. So it looks very tiny, right? Like what I'm drawing, but when I end up putting the rest of this detail in, you're going to see what I'm doing. So we're going to put this. Kind of move it over here, actually. Oop. I miss you guys. I'm sorry we haven't been streaming as much lately. We are so busy. We've got some big stuff coming up that we're going to be announcing. And if my feed suddenly goes dark, it's because Ella pulled the plug because she doesn't want me to spoil the surprises.
I don't want you to spoil them, but
he's
very
good at stopping me.
We've had to back out a little bit of doing so many lives. We still do them. We still try to do at least 2 a week, one for our Patreon, one for everybody. And we have missed you guys, but we'll get back into it. We've just been really busy. We've got like 4 major things converging all on the same date, which is crazy. And so we're working really hard.
Well, I hope you guys have you been enjoying the webcomics? That was a huge deal for us, certainly.
Yeah, I hope that you're enjoying those. And a new chapter went out today for Patreon members.
Oh yeah, and the stories too. I mean, we're doing so much. Okay, so almost done.
So they're asking about Flux Destinies a little bit. There's a little bit of confusion. So Flux Destinies are not necessarily like, they make up some of the buildings, but they're mostly on the outside of buildings. They change the way that buildings look, not necessarily
it depends. It depends on what you do with it. Like some people will create entire buildings out of a Flux Destiny. You could use there's a scene in the main book when Hugo first goes to the fortune telling club. He goes into the noodle shop for the first time to meet the fortune telling club. Up on the ceiling there, it looks like it's the night sky. Remember, they're inside like a strip mall basically, right? But on the ceiling there's a night sky, and it's like completely like, you know what it's like? I've been seeing it would be like, it's a good example of that kind of Flux Destiny. If you ever seen the Las Vegas Sphere, have you seen like what it's like on the inside? Like that's what Flux Destinies that are used in surface kind of material like purposes would
exactly
do that,
yeah. It's a little bit different. They're talking about the dangers of it, and we talk about how there's power outages and stuff. Obviously it is very dangerous if you have a Flux Destiny like the Mewtwo Destiny, which is all a Flux Destiny, right? Where you walk
It's
into
all,
it.
yeah.
There's a difference between that and something that's a little bit more like a surface. You know what I mean? I'm trying to
Exactly.
explain that. Like, there's a difference between something that's like, you were talking about Wolfgang. Wolfgang has surface on the outside of the dorms is surface Flux Destinies. So inside it looks like dorms. On the outside it could look like you're underwater or whatever, right?
Exactly. That's a really important point to bring up because, for example, some of these towers I'm drawing here, some of them are Flux Destinies, right? Like I would say that maybe this gigantic one here is entirely a Flux Destiny, while this smaller one over here may be a real building, right?
Right.
So Andromeda in particular is like a patchwork quilt of. If I were to draw a map, I'm going to draw a quick little map here below. Like let's say I'm showing you a map of downtown Andromeda, and then you've got these highways coming this way, and I'm just you got downtown Andromeda, like this, and then you've got the city blocks here of downtown, right? Mm-hmm. You've got more. So some of these, like this block might be a Flux Destiny. This whole block might be a Flux Destiny. This one might be a Flux Destiny. This one might be a Flux Destiny. While these others are real, this would be a Flux Destiny. Over here, where Mewtwo Destiny is, which is a whole neighborhood that's very close to downtown, the whole thing is a Flux Destiny. And there's a whole history behind that you'll learn about. Nearby, Wolfgang Academy, let's say, is right here. And then Wolfgang is mostly real, but there's pieces of it that are giant canvases. So, it's like you got to think of it like a quilt of like Flux Destinies in reality, right?
Yeah. And they're smaller ones too. They're like on street corners.
They're all over the
statues. They're not just like really big or really tiny. They're sort of an amalgamation. One might be just an awning on a building. That might be the only one that it has, and one might be the entire building. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
it's not just like big or small. And the thing is too is you have to realize that there's probably, we talk about like blackouts and how dangerous Flux Destinies can be, but these kind of really big ones, they're not easy to collapse. They require
they have their
backup, and
they have their own. They have their own inertia, right? Like it's like once you've spun up a giant Flux Destiny, if the karmic power goes out, it doesn't suddenly snuff out. It's kind of like a candle, where it's like it's still spinning, but then it starts slowing down, basically, because Flux Destinies, since they're built on canvases, this might be a good quick thing to educate you guys on. So if you think of the real world, so this is the real world, right? This is the real world here, right? And the real world, this is the real world, and then under the real world is the great machine, right? With these gears, I'm drawing very terribly. They don't even look like gears. They look like those little things that you get in the grass that you get stuck in your toes. These are gears, I swear. Okay, so we got gears. Everything, because if you try to perform karmistry in the real world here, let me take this off. Real world. This is the real world. If you try to perform karmistry up here, you're going to get, payback. Right? If you try to do it here, because the great machine is operating everything above. But if you when you put a canvas down, so this thing here is a canvas, it's like if this were the old days, I'd use a more crude term. But this is like a barrier that protects against the great machine. So when you have a canvas here, on top, you can build a Flux Destiny on it. So let's say it's some buildings, right? But anything that's happening up here in the real world is powered by karma just in general, right? Like life is karmically driven. When you put this barrier here, this canvas, so that you can create Flux Destinies without the great machine getting pissed off at you, it's disconnected from the great machine, right? And
Yeah.
so it cannot generate its own karma. So that you have to keep driving. I don't know if Flick is here, but I'm going to draw a little truck here.
You have to like hook it up. You have to plug in. You have to
Yeah,
plug it in.
you got to plug
You
it
know?
in either into the power network, the karmic power network, or have a battery or something. So,
Or if you're an escape artist or clockbot, pump your own karmic energy into it.
right, exactly. So that's just to kind of give you an idea. So Andromeda, when you look at this drawing here, I love drawing technical little drawings like this. Like I have so much fun drawing this kind of stuff. When you think of if under Andromeda, there's going to be like this spider web network of karma power conduits that go everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And they are just piping into everything. And all
Flux
that
Destinies are very safe. Like they're very
safe. Yeah,
like
this is
yeah.
they wouldn't. That's why the National Karmistry Authority exists, is to also make sure that those, you know, that these things are up to code, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know it's easy when we talk about world building to immediately think about the dangers. They wouldn't build it. You have to think about this a little bit grounded in reality. Fortuna is a lot like our world. That we're not going to do something that's just like a bomb for no reason. You know, just because it's fun and it looks cool,
Exactly.
you know.
It's not practical to build a to have millions of people living in this. You guys saw the, what's it called? The mood boards I shared.
Yeah.
It's not practical to have this city with, you know, over 10 million people in a constant state of everyone could die in a collapsed Flux Destiny. That's, I liken it to when electricity was first invented. People used to like hurt themselves and kill themselves with
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
because they didn't know how it worked, right? And they didn't know how dangerous it was. Well, that was, you know, Flux Destinies were invented in 1770 something. I forgot the year. There's an actual year. And that was like 200 something years ago before the present day. So they've had many years to like figure out how to make it work, you know?
Yeah. And that's why the NKA exists. Like, if a Flux Destiny starts to collapse, they come out of their little secret hidey holes and they fix it. You know, nobody gets hurt, and that's what they do. They're very safe. It would take a lot of energy to take something like Andromeda down, although it is a crisis. You know what I mean? People think that it is an energy crisis, and they're worried about it. But it doesn't mean that they're just gonna stop pumping karma into them and make them collapse. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, okay, so look, I've zoomed out now. You see how far away we are right now? So, where you see me and Ella up in the circles, we're like up on the mountaintop, okay? Like we're up here and we're looking in the distance, right? And then what I would do is here in the background, I would put some mountains back here.
They're asking, is karma energy like electricity, or does it have a physical state?
It's like electricity. When
Yeah.
you say physical state, what do they mean physical state?
Like, does it like is it like a liquid? Can it be
Oh
like
no,
lime?
it's like
You know what I
it's
mean?
energy. It's energy.
Yeah.
Look at me over here designing.
I'm so excited. I like lives like this.
This
I
is
always like
fun,
watching
right?
you like design. Yeah.
I'm like great value Bob Ross over here.
You need a really big beard. Have you ever grown out like a
I just
beard?
got big hair. That's what I got.
Big hair, no
Big
beard.
hair. Okay, so we've got like the mountains here in the distance, and then look, I'm gonna zoom out even further. Actually, I probably need to make this canvas bigger. Hold on. This is gonna be a gigantic file. My computer's gonna be really mad at me. Ah, I'm dead. I'm blinded. Ah, hold on. Ah,
Ruben says, "Is there a karma bill like a power bill?"
yes,
Yeah.
there
it
is.
Most things run on karma. I would say, what in modern day, like 80%. Like most electronics now, like in our present day, in the 90s, run on karma.
Yeah, everything. There is still some electricity in this world, but it's kind of considered like old fashioned, right?
Yeah.
So you have to look at it. You have to think of it that way. Is that and that's what makes the difference between like a clock bot and a robot in this world, for example, is that
Right.
clock bots are
Exactly.
powered on electricity. I mean, excuse me, on karma, and
Mhm.
robots are electronic devices. So, um, so yes, you would get a karma power bill.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got this, and then we're gonna have more mountains over here. Hold on. And then I'm gonna draw the hill that Ella and I are standing on. We're like, so this is the foreground.
Katie
This is
asks a good question. You guys are asking really good questions tonight. It's kind of it turned into lore and world building, which is perfect. Katie says, "I might be behind in the lore, but are there people against Karmistry completely?" I know you answered this in the lore channel, I think, one time, but yeah, there totally are.
yeah, absolutely. There's a lot. There's definitely people who are against it. I hope you guys can see what's going on here. Can you make out what I'm doing here, Ella? You can see the hill, the mountains
Yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah.
and then you can see way over here is downtown, right? So you're seeing these mountains here. As they get closer to where we are, you'll see in a second how this will. And then we got some more mountains here. And then there's the hills. Now, actually, over here is the Telesto rupture is very near this. And there's a giant rupture actually near Andromeda, and it's a huge like what's it called? Um, uh, Tourist attraction. Okay, so we're gonna have this.
I don't think that rupture's on the map.
If it's not on the map, it's supposed to be there, but if it's not, that's my fault.
It's called the Triangulum.
The triangulum, that's the one I'm thinking. Sorry, I knew it was with a T. Triangulum rupture. Telesto rupture is elsewhere. Okay, so now, and then this is the ocean here.
Mm-hmm.
This area here is the ocean. And then we've got the hills. So you can kind of see the basin that Andromeda is in. So it's in this giant basin. And I'm doing this at super high resolution because this is very, very high resolution. Here's the water here. Yeah, the beaches here are very nice. And there's several.
I wonder.
Huh? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I wonder, you know how the beaches in Australia are like black and have that like kind of like you walk on them and they're kind of the bioluminescence glows and they look like stars? Do you know what
Oh,
I'm talking about?
absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like that's what the beaches here look like. They're like not white beaches, they're like black beaches and they have that like blue bioluminescent.
That's really cool, dude. I like that idea, actually. That's a great idea.
Done. Canon. Look at
Done in
that.
canon. I love how we can make things canon here overnight, just like in a second. I'm just drawing some highways here. And
So
there's
Ruben,
actually.
Marco.
What's that?
Sorry, I was answering Ruben. Marco and Hugo didn't grow up in Andromeda. They grew up in Big Dipper, which is sort of like a country boy town. They are skaters. They are skaters because, Chris, can I tell them our new canon sport?
Yeah, tell him. Okay,
Okay, so in Fortuna, you know how they've got like our national pastime in America is like baseball and football and this stuff. Well, in Fortuna, the national pastime is not baseball and football. It's actually extreme sports. So it's skateboarding, rollerblading, bikes, stuff like that. And they do, you know, carmistry tricks with them. So every kid wants to be a skater kid. You know what I mean? You go to high school, instead of a football field, they've got a skate park. That's like their stadium, right? And so that's probably why they're skater boys, not necessarily because they grew up in Andromeda, because they grew up in Big Dipper, not Andromeda. But it's probably because they grew up with all this skating culture around them.
That's right. That's right.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you, Chris. I'm
no,
so
no,
sorry.
no. That's absolutely right. That is absolutely right.
Yeah, it's very like this is the sport that they watch. Like, not that they don't have football and baseball, but like it's way less. Like, you go into like a sporting goods store, 90% of it's going to be skateboarding, rollerblading, pads and helmets and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the opposite of where we are here, right? Where extreme sports are kind of like more fringe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In Fortuna, it's the opposite. Like baseball and stuff exists. It's just not as, it's not necessarily the national pastime. Like you wouldn't have the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you'd have
Fortuna.
the extreme.
You'd have
sport.
whatever the extreme sports equivalent is there, like the X Games or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I would imagine that this is a little bit worldwide, you know, because like soccer, I mean, obviously there's still simple stuff like carmistry soccer and blah blah blah, you know, these sports,
Right.
but skating and rollerblading and the roller rink, you know what I mean, those are the sports that you do. Those you pass by, instead of like going down the highway and seeing an abandoned baseball field, you see an abandoned skate park. You know what I mean? They're like the public skate park and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So I started changing some of the colors here so you can see the mountains and you can see these big. I hope I'm drawing well enough that you guys can tell what I'm doing here. Oops.
Carl asks a question. He says, if viewed from orbit, is Fortuna the brightest city? I think he means Andromeda. Is the brightest city, or is there something that outshines it?
Oh, without question, if you saw Andromeda from space, it would be, the light pollution is very bad here.
Yeah.
In fact, where was I talking about that? Oh, there's a scene in the book, in the next book that, is that where it was, Ella? Where were we talking about this? I was talking about the light pollution.
Yes, I had asked a question that I needed for one of the RPG one shots that I was doing, and then you brought up a piece of the book, and we talked about it.
Oh, okay.
I would also argue that the city close by, Canis Major, is very bright.
It's
as
very
well,
bright too. That's right.
Like Las Vegas, but I feel like in space they merge because they're close-ish, you know, to each other.
Yeah, if you saw all of it from space, it would be, I mean, it would be insanely bright because there's Flux Destinies everywhere, and Carmistry is being used everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So you can see from this very far distance now. Now you can kind of see the mount. I don't. Can you see what I'm doing here? Does this make sense at all? Okay. It makes sense to me, but I'm
trusting so hard.
Trusting, but does it work?
Funniest.
Can you tell what I'm doing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just adore you because I will be like, Chris, I need a little piece of Andromeda, like that fits in a square this big. Can you draw me out just a little piece of it so I can show it in the RPG book? And he's like, okay, let me draw the entire mountainscape and the cities. And I'm like, I needed a little square. Like this big, and he drew the biggest thing he could possibly draw.
I know, I'm sorry. It's because this is not what we're gonna use for the RPG. I'll do a better, a more one that the scale actually works. This is,
Chris,
I did just, I wanted to show.
I put curses upon you.
What's that?
I put curses upon you because I am trying so hard to make your life easier and
I
double up
know,
the.
I know, I know. This
And
is
you
this is
go and be like, no, I'm gonna take 8 hours to do something
no.
else.
Well, because I wanted to show them the scale. Like this doesn't take too
Yeah.
long to do, and this is, but it's
No,
totally
it
my
is
fault. I
very
know.
pretty.
And Ella tells me, Chris, we're gonna do this to save you a bunch of time, and I'm like, great idea, and then I completely ruin her plans. It's so me, right? And then so you can kind of see if I were to sit here and draw the rest of it, I can do it really quick.
I love it though. This is helpful because there's so Andromeda is so much bigger than just like
I mean, it's
the
gigantic.
downtown.
If you
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if I were to do here in the foreground, so let's say we're here in the foreground. Oh, I lost the screen. You know, and especially the ocean side, you're gonna have just giant condos and apartments that oversee. Like it's obviously insanely expensive to live here.
Hmm.
All the wannabe escape artists who are like, you know, just think about wannabe actors and stuff. It's like the same thing,
Oh, absolutely.
right? So this is more in the foreground here.
There are places where they serve food, but also like do karmistry and like hope to be picked up, by like
Exactly, exactly.
agents and stuff.
So there'd be like, if you've ever been to like Santa Monica, you have all the like these like beach houses that Santa Monica or Manhattan Beach or any of those places. You've got just tons of these.
What's crazy too is there's like factories and stuff too, still in Andromeda because
Yeah, it's
that's
just
sort of
like
where karmistry was born. So there's tourist foundries and factories, and that most of them have moved to Titan City, which is right outside.
right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
But there's still stuff in there. You know what I mean? Like just like a factory in the middle of downtown or whatever, and you're
I
like,
mean,
okay,
if we were to take this view here and go this way, and then go over the mountains here, then you start getting to Titan City, which she's talking about, and Titan City's over here.
mm-hmm.
And outside this, and it's all like very heavily industrial. It's very much like the inland empire
Mm-hmm.
of the LA region, and so and I mean, this is, we're talking super dense. Okay, like this is a very dense city, and it's like constantly vibrating. And what I mean by that is like there's just this energy coming from it.
Mm-hmm.
All the big dream workshops are here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. Who am I all of a sudden?
You know who you are. You've
I
always known.
know. Look at me begging for compliments, fishing for compliments. So, as you guys saw, remember we started way over here, right? We started downtown, but then as we start going to these other areas, you're going to have more of these. You're going to have these little like um, other areas here that are just these collections of skyscrapers. I love geography. I love cityscapes. You don't know how
Mm-hmm.
many cities I like maps I look at, and I love how human cities are,
Human
how they
cities.
work. Yes, because I'm an alien. And then you'll have, so when we start seeing all these, you'll have like these pockets of areas that are just gigantic, just giant skyscrapers. So you see, as I'm pulling out, you can see that there's pockets of low rise and then high rise buildings. You could easily get lost here. It's so big. It's just, and you don't even know what's going on underground, right? I mean, there's just so much happening here. It's a mammoth city.
Yeah.
And then, um, like over here, if I were to tell you where kind of the big areas, so around here, it's kind of hard to see because it's behind the buildings. But that would be where Mewq Destiny is. That's like this,
Mm-hmm.
like we talked about, one of the giant neighborhoods that's made out of um, an entirely of Flux Destiny. Um, um, but it's not a fun place to be. It's not a place you want to go.
No.
It's actually a really rough neighborhood. Wolfgang Academy is somewhere like here, down here. So they're very close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Ruben asks, with Andromeda being very densely populated, is it hard to make it big as an escape art? Oh yeah, that's exactly. It's absolutely hard. It's absolutely hard. Everyone wants to be one. Everyone wants to be a famous escape artist.
That's
But the
why you
thing
start
is,
in school, you know?
yeah, and the thing is, what's different than being, obviously actors go to acting school and stuff like that, but actors don't have to know math and science and stuff, right? Like an
Mm-hmm.
escape artist is like you have to be able to have the charisma and be able to perform karmistry, which is, its own complicated art and science, right? And
Yeah.
so you can't just you can't fake your way through that.
Yeah, even like a very, you'd have to be, it's a little bit different than just being like, oh, I'm going to be a bio escape artist who's a doctor. There's like a stigma that's like, if you're going to be an escape artist, you also need to have like some kind of big charisma. So even like big doctors, like famous doctors, are plastered on billboards. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm going to save people. It's like there's this showmanship behind it, as well.
That's right. And there are regular tradespeople and stuff, and like folks who know
Totally.
but it's like, if you're gonna make it, people are so obsessed with their careers and destiny and everything in this. It's verging on toxic, right?
Yep.
And so it's a very difficult place to live, because imagine, how hard it is just to live in the United States nowadays. Everything is so
Yeah.
expensive, and there's so many demands um, to be successful, right, and to make money, because
Mm-hmm.
everything is so crazy expensive right now. That's the same thing as here, and more so. And on
Yeah,
top of that, you have
every
these.
every trade. It's
Uh,
all of it has like famous people. They're famous Flux Destiny doctors and scientists and clockbot engineers. Everything is like, instead of like football players, people follow all kinds of celebrities from all over. You're escape artist. Oh, there's that escape artist, you know, airplane designer, right? And there's a charisma to it, even more than it is just actors. So everybody is, obsessed over like the top of the top in every field. So it's really hard to do anything, you know what I mean? Even if you're decide, oh, I don't want to be an escape artist, then you're up against escape artists. So it's a really tough. Andromeda especially is really tough. Further out in other cities, it's a little bit less, but
yeah, if you live in like Big Dipper, for example, if you went to Big Dipper is very different than Andromeda, because it doesn't. You're not going to have. You really don't see Flux Destinies there like you see in Andromeda, right? Like there,
mm,
it's more rooted in like real life. And so, um, now that's where they generate a lot of the karma that gets sent all over Fortuna to power this, which kind of, if you read the description of Big Dipper in the wiki, I actually wrote something in there about like, they're very careful about pissing people off in Big Dipper, because they don't want to turn off the lights in Andromeda, right? So,
yeah.
I always I've been to Los Angeles many times, and what I love about that city is it's so mammoth. It's such a giant city, and it's like a blanket. It's like it just rolls on forever, you know. And depending, like I've been very fortunate to stay like I stayed at the hotel that is connected to where they hold the Academy Awards at the Kodak Center, and I stayed at a very high floor. And I've got these great photos of like you can see all of LA from the from my vantage point, and it's just this, you know, it's a place where your imagination kind of runs wild when you see a cityscape. You're like, what is? There's so many lives and so many people here. You know what's going on? Like, there's so many stories and so many dramas and so many things going on. You know that I don't know. I just love that.
Yeah.
Andromeda Guide Guild should be canon. Imagine how rich that would be, right? Is
We
it
were
possible that
talking about
on camera my OC will play part of being an escape artist, but off camera he hates the experience? It's yeah, well, a lot of escape artists end up becoming disillusioned because it's so hard. It's not an
yeah.
easy life to live. So you may be very talented at cardistry, but there's so much what's it called, competition, that you have to really be, you're on all the time, right? Now there are other parts of, if I pull up the let me pull up the map again. So when we look at Fortuna, so if I were to draw like this little, if I were to put a layer over this, let me do something here. If I drew a layer over this, bear with me one second. That's not the color I wanted. Did it do it? Oh. Why is it not? Oh. If I were to draw a layer here and just kind of show you the like the distribution of Flux Destinies in this world, so that you can kind of see where are you more likely to see like heavy uses of Flux Destinies. And I were to do something like, let me just use blue color here and say, you know, so you're going to see just like this heavy concentration here of Flux Destinies, like just like rampant all over the place here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you're going to see them here in Canis Major here. This is almost like the map you were asking earlier about, like what it would look like from space. Right? But then, and then Icarus City, these major cities, you're going to see this kind of like Flux Destiny use everywhere. Ganymede has a lot of Flux Destinies. So you see this from space, so you see a lot of, right? But then the other parts of the country, or Orion City definitely has, right? And then, well, my thing is kind of screwed up, but up in these areas here, oh, not Andorus, especially on the coastal areas, believe it or not, because people like to build like expensive, like, you know, expensive like beach houses and stuff. But then,
Ad Astra is like full.
oh shoot, yeah, all this I totally missed it. Ad Astra, this is going to be like heavily Flux Destinies up here. So if this is kind of a map of Flux Destiny distribution, you're going to see kind of like, you know, occasional ones every now and then here. But the reality is, and this almost coincides with like the population density too.
Absolutely.
So now, when you go to other areas of Fortuna, like there's an area here called Pixis. This is probably one of the most beautiful areas of Fortuna. Like it's a actually very beautiful city area. This is actually where. Well, let me see if I can pull up the. Let me pull up the. It's so bright. Let me see if I have any of that. Oh, here we go. So if I go to. It's so bright, but I look so good. Look how. Look at this. Look at my color. My color is really good today. Okay. If I go to. If I go here, and you go see, it's beautiful. It's up in the mighty fallen mountains. It's just this really, really beautiful part, really natural part of the country, untouched by karmistry. You know, like it's a really beautiful part of Fortuna for that. And so if you go to the mood board that we were sharing earlier, you can kind of go to these different areas and see what they feel like. You know, Titan City. We were talking about Titan City earlier. It is not a fun place to visit.
No.
It's just outside of Andromeda. You know. Oh, Katie, you like the what part is satisfying? What I was drawing, or
Yeah, the like flux.
the distribution map?
Yeah.
Because it feels real when you do that, right? When you draw stuff like that, it feels real. Flux Destiny feels like this. It is a like purple nightmare, and so like this is the vibe it has. So you can go and kind of feel the different. Here's what the noodle shops kind of feel like. If you want to see what the noodle shops, they're dingy. They kind of feel like this. Okay, so you can visit all these mood boards and check out what. Oh, don't I have Big Dipper here? So this is Big Dipper. Remember we were talking about earlier where there's no, what do you call it? The Flux Destiny use is very limited. Look how Big Dipper looks. It's very different, right? It looks like a normal city, right? This is where Hugo and Marco come from. It looks like a normal town. Hugo's house looks something like this. You know, it's just a normal place in Fortuna. Very different than Andromeda. So
Yeah, and I don't know if Canis Major is in here, but ignore that mood board. That's the only one that's a little bit off right now.
yeah.
But Big Dipper's beautiful. I love all of these mood boards that you have.
Okay, so let me go back to where we were. Oh, Katie, I think she put the link. Ella, if you wouldn't mind putting the link back in there for her. She was asking for the link.
Yeah, of course. All of these links, guys, are in the link tree. Just so you know, if you go to like fluxdestiny.com and look at our link tree.
I don't think I specifically put the mood boards. There's a link to the Flux Destiny Pinterest, which has it, and so you have to kind of like dig around to find it. But
there's only 2 boards. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So, anyways, that's the distribution. I love, Ella, your idea about the black beaches, the black sand, black sand beaches. That is, it's canon. It's canon. Yeah.
Well, because like they're very star-like, they're very like bioluminescent. You know what I mean? The black beaches. It's not. Andromeda is such a bright place, and the surrounding area is kind of, I imagine, dark because of the mountains. Because
Oh yeah,
just like where it's located.
If you were like this area here, where Andromeda and this whole and this is a giant region. Like, you guys have to understand that this distance here to here is about 150 miles. 200. This is giant, right? This whole area would be like going from up here. This would be like going from like here from San Francisco to San Diego. That's how big that area is right there. Just to give you a sense of scale. So this area here is just a, you would definitely see it from space. I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. It would be, and it's like oddly beautiful. It's it's liminal in its own way. You go there and it's just this liminal.
Everybody loves this map. You should keep it. You should like.
Are they still talking about it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is kind of fun, isn't it? Maybe I should keep this. This is kind of fun. I love doing like topographic and all sorts of layers on maps like this. Like I said, this would coincide with the population density
Yeah.
kind of, because like here, for example, Big Dipper. If I did population density, these areas, Big Dipper would be a little more, but you're not going to see a lot of Flux Destinies there. So anyway, there are so many different parts of Fortuna that it's pretty varied in terms of like its topography and what's available there. Anyways, well, anything else, Ella? I'm going way over my scheduled time. Did you have any? You had fun with this? This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did. This was fun.
And here's one last view of the little map we drew, or the little cityscape. If I were to like actually illustrate this, it would look so like. What I mean is, if I spent a long time drawing this and putting all the lighting effects and everything, it would look. I would imagine one last thing I'll do is that I would imagine there's just like these columns of light like this, like everywhere you go. Hold on, let me do a better job of this. Something a little more. Hold on. Ah. So I just kind of feel like, okay. Oh. I kind of feel like if you were looking at it from a distance, there's just like there's like these columns of light that are kind of rising into the sky from where the Flux Destinies are. So it looks like this. Does this make sense?
No,
like
that's what I think when I think about Flux Destinies too.
Yeah, they're just wherever you can tell where Flux Destiny is, because it never feels, it can be very realistic looking, but it's never quite real. There's something off about it, right? And also, Flux Destinies can emit light like this. It's this karmic aura, right?
Yep.
So there's going to be just this karmic. This is a. I have to stop myself from swearing. Ella's gotten me better at. I was about to start swearing up a storm. This is a. This is. I've never drawn it this way before. It was in my head, but I never drew it until now.
I like this a lot.
Isn't this cool? Like you can see just the columns of light everywhere. So obviously, like I said, if you were in Big Dip in Andromeda, the light pollution is insane. Going back to talking about Houston, because it's a really humid city, there's cloud cover all the time there. And I remember, my parents' house is near uptown Houston, which is like in the core of, near the core of the city. And at night, the skies are purple because there's the cloud, like the cloud cover is usually really dense. And then the whole city is just lighting up the cloud cover. And then you got the refineries and everything. It's just like this. And I imagine it's the same thing with this, is that you just got this. Here, I'm going to add a little effect here. Ah! Outer glow. Whoa, too much. Ah! Sorry. Something like this. Cool, right? Like that's just
it's beautiful.
So when you zoom out and see the city from a distance, it would look like this. Just light. And now that we've added these black sand beaches, there'd probably be a karmic explanation for that we could come up with. Oh, I have a perfect explanation for why that's the case.
Yeah, I
Do
thought
you know
that
what I'm
you
going to
might.
say?
I know what you're gonna say. That's what I thought of when I said it.
Okay, then I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'll leave it between us. I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
But you and I both know why. So.
Yeah. Everybody, we come into lives to just talk to each other and go hee hee hee, and just keep secret.
A couple of church ladies over here. I would love to see this like as actual finished concept art. Something that would be really pretty.
One day.
One day. There. Anyway, I could sit here painting it all day. But that's kind of what it would feel like. And then, stop. I gotta stop. Thank you. It's like the Northern Lights, but on the ground. Exactly. That's a really great way to put it. It's just like that. So it's just like bathed in light, you know? Anyway.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
That was fun.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Got me to do some environmental design there with you guys and give you a little lore lesson on Fortuna. Anything else, Ella? If you happen to be watching and you haven't joined our Patreon yet, you should absolutely join our Patreon. It's like at the bottom. We've got a bunch of our friends here who are on Patreon who support the channel, support our work, and you get all sorts of cool benefits. Certain tiers of the Patreon give you the core rulebook for the RPG Flux Fantasy for free, so you should check that out. And you also get to get all the webcomics early. So tomorrow, the next webcomic page comes out, and patrons see it first before everyone else does. So you should absolutely check that. And then Ella's her awesome stories that she's been writing are up there too. So you guys should check that out.
Yeah, and like Mark said, we do Patreon streams too, like once a week. So now that we're doing less lives, if you want to see us more, come join our Patreon, and it really helps us out. It really does mean a lot to us, and it helps us out tremendously. And we hope that you enjoy the benefits from it as well.
Thank you, Ella, for always being a great stream partner, keeping me from saying stupid things and
I just sit here.
clean.
You do all the fun stuff.
All right, guys. It was good seeing you. We'll see you tomorrow on the Patreon stream, and have a great night. Good night.